Hemalata. I'm Dr. K.G. Hemalata, Professor and Head of the Department of Management Studies, the Ananda Sagar College of Engineering. I formally welcome each and every one of you for this event. I am so happy and glad that with a short notice, our guests have joined today, Mr. Rangarajan, Mr. Vikram Srivatsava, and our alumni come, our beloved student Harsha R. to this today's career guidelines program for in the operations specialization students. The purpose and objective of the event is like to make them to understand about what are the opportunities available in the operation and supply chain management field, and also we are here to take the input from the industry experts on which aspect they need to focus more and what kind of skill set and certifications or value addition they have to do so that they can shine well in their career. So that is the expectations. So our student executive members here, Supreet and Soundarya is here. They have lined up with a lot of questions. And they will be asking you questions so that the questions may be very simple and neat, but the curiosity to learn about the field, that is matter. That's what I believe. So once again, I welcome you all to this today's first career guidance event. Over to you, Supreet and Soundarya.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Supreet Bharadwaj.
Soundarya, your voice is not audible. Yes, Soundarya. No, not audible. Yeah. Supreet, you start so that meantime she will correct her audio. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Myself, Supreet Bharadwaj. I'm studying second semester MBA, and we are the host for today's event, Career Guidance Series Operations. Thank you, ma'am, for introducing our guest what today's program is. And now I would like to introduce our guest of today, Mr. Vikram Srivatsava. Mr. Vikram Srivatsava, currently the head of planning global supply chain at Sun Pharmaceutical Mumbai. He is basically a mechanical engineer from Nagpur University and a postgraduate in marine engineering from Singapore and MBA in global logistics and supply chain from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research. He is well versed in all the tools related to sourcing, logistics, supply chain, operation, and project management. He started his career with Neptune Orient Lines as a marine engineer and worked for 4 years on container and break bulk vessels. He was heading the MIS team in logistics at Aurobindo Pharma. He has also worked with Milan Labs, Zydus Cadila, and Ipca Labs as well. He specialized in the following areas such as supply or demand planning, strategic sourcing, vendor development, inventory management, and logistics. It is our privilege to have Mr. Vikram Srivatsava sir in this forum. Sir, on behalf of Department of Management Studies, the Ananda Sagar College of Engineering, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here and connect with the students and happy to share whatever I know. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Soundarya. I think some audio issue with Soundarya. Supreet, you please continue your audio. Unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Ganapathy Rangarajan to this forum today. Mr. Ganapathy Rangarajan currently working as Assistant General Manager at Uniflex Bangalore. He is a proud alumni of BITS Pilani. He has done various projects at TVS Motor on DOE, Six Sigma, TPM, 5S, Quality Control Circles, Kaizen projects, 7QC tools, SPC, statistical analysis through Minitab. His interest and specialized skills include creating FMEA, control plan, production process, and approval plan, etc. On behalf of Department of Management Studies, the Ananda Sagar College of Engineering, sir, I would like to welcome you to today's forum.
Thank you very much First of all, thank you very much to giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts like students like you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to introduce our alumni, Mr. Harsha R, who is currently working as Assistant Manager Operations at Byju's, Bengaluru. Mr. Harsha started his career at Razorpay as Junior Analyst Operations. Then he joined Byju's as Operations Associate, became Team Lead Operations within a year, and currently as Assistant Manager. On behalf of the Department of Management Studies, Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering, sir, I would like to welcome you to today's forum.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here to study in the same college, to present the event here or attend the meeting here with regards to career. I think I feel proud. I'm ready for the questions, whatever you guys have. And let me share even though if it's a short journey, let me share my experience so that it will be helpful for you guys.
Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Vikram Srivatsava, sir, to take over the session. Sir, the forum is now open to you. We would like to hear your insights about the operations management and its scope and opportunities in the specialization. Thank you, sir.
So yeah, thank you for that, Suprit. I mean, I'm very happy to connect with the students, with the fresh blood which is coming into the operations. I mean, into the workforce, and I'm sure with all the buzz around operations and supply chain, I can tell you guys that now supply chain is the most commonly understood function across industries. I mean, it's not just about any one particular industry. I mean, this is the boom, in my opinion, has come post COVID. I mean, during the COVID, everybody understood what is the supply chain, what does it mean. I mean, even governments understood that getting a pencil is not as simple. What is the supply chain to making a pencil? Where do you source your lead from? Where do you source your pulp from? Where do you how do you do the operations in a manufacturing facility, make the pencil, pack it? What are the packing material that goes into that packaging, and how you ship it and distribute it? So I'm glad we are having this conversation today, because prior to this, a lot of people used to think that supply chain is all about procurement, and logistics. But now people understand that supply chain is about planning, which is at the core of operations and supply chain management. Supply chain is all about information management, and it is about inventory management as well. So these are the things that have come to fore, and I'm happy that this is exploded now. And like I tell a lot of my colleagues and a lot of young students who are coming into this function now, that it is our time to hog the limelight. So let's take center stage, because the industry and all industries, in fact, have understood the importance of supply chain. Because as competition is increasing, you have to realize your product differentiation is blurring. I mean, if you take a simple example of generic pharmaceutical medicines, like for example metformin, since I represent the pharmaceutical industry. If you go today out in the market, you will find at least 10 companies in India itself which are selling metformin or pantoprazole, a simple medicine. There are more than 10 companies. So how do you differentiate your product? What gives your product the cutting edge? It is supply chain. It is your supply chain which will give your product a competitive edge. And just to elaborate a little bit on it, is ensuring that your products are always available on the shelf. You are sensing the demand properly. You're giving the right indications to your operations team, to your upstream supply chain team, to procure the right raw materials, to produce the materials, and to make sure you're distributing it in the right way. And once a patient or a customer goes out to the pharmacy or goes on the app and clicks on the medicine, if he sees your brand available there, you make the sale, because product differentiation is going to get increasingly difficult, and so supply chain is going to give you a cutting edge. So I mean, those were my opening remarks. I open the floor to my other colleagues who are available on this call. share their insights also, but I'll be happy to answer any specific questions beyond this. But that is the couple of 2-3 things that I wanted to mention. And closing, I would want to repeat myself. We are in a very exciting phase of doing a lot of improvements and new changes in supply chain management and operations with respect to industry 4.0, with respect to innovations in distribution and logistics, and with respect to innovations in uh, you know uh, planning, forecasting, with respect to how we are sourcing. We used to talk about globalization, now we are talking about localization. So a lot of things are happening around the entire function itself, and all industries, I mean, not just pharma or automobile, FMCG, whatever industry you talk about, the core is driven now by supply chain executives. So yeah, back to you guys.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. So, few of our students have a few questions to ask to you. We are asking you the questions on behalf of them. So, the first question would be, could you please brief us about the supply chain process in the pharmaceutical sector?
So I mean, see, I mean, supply chain process, I mean, per se does not change. The nuances change. I mean, every industry has its own specific nuances. Pharma supply chain has its own particular nuances. We are heavily regulated industry, and that is where our supply chain becomes a lot more constrained in terms of how what kind of flexibility we can build it. But yeah, we are probably the third most regulated industry in the world after nuclear and aviation. So our supply chains are rigid in terms of how we do vendor selection, where we do manufacturing, how we qualify our batches, etc. But overall, the if I have to just give you a very broad outline of what supply chain in pharma entails, is if we start downstream, it is all about demand sensing, how we can forecast, how we can accurately demand sense, and then how that demand is converted through a DRP into what is required, into your requirement, which goes into your core manufacturing or operations engine, and where that demand is blown up through MRP, DDMRP processes, etc. We come to understand what kind of capacities we need, what kind of materials we need, which further upstream, if you move, that demand is translated and given in terms of purchase requisitions, in terms of purchase orders to our vendors. And based on that, the material is procured, it is stored in warehouses, it is produced in manufacturing facilities. Once the finished goods are ready, we ship it to our distributions, to our central warehouses. And from where, then again downstream, if you go back, it is sold to retail, through retail channels, to pharmacy chains, through government tenders, etc. The finished goods are distributed to the patients. So I mean, not in a nutshell, it is a typical supply chain. Demand is there, you understand your capacities, you understand your supply readiness, you source the right materials, you produce it and ship it. But yeah, of course, the nuances are there. Like I told you, there are few things in pharma that we need to be aware of in terms of regulation, in terms of which vendors we can source from, what are the constraints in terms of shipment to different countries, etc. So those are the few nuances, but overall, the broad structure or the skeleton of supply chain is what I explained to you guys.
Thank you, sir, for telling us in brief about your supply chain process. Our next question would be, we are very much interested to listen to the journey of yours till this level as head of planning global supply chain. Can you tell us about that, sir?
So journey has been very exciting, and I mean, full of twists and turns. I mean, during the initial phase when I was getting introduced, it was mentioned that I completed my mechanical engineering, and then I wanted to work as a mechanical engineer, and that took me into marine engineering. So I was on onshore, offshore vessels as a marine engineer, traveling the world, etc. And I'm a firm believer of the dots always connect back. Now when I look back, each dot is moved me to a next dot, so to speak, next milestone in my life. So, I mean, as a mechanical engineer, I stepped into marine. From marine, I understood the entire global supply chain. I understood the logistics of, goods moving across the world. And that is where I got excited about, moving into the next phase of my career. I took a sabbatical. I did my full-time MBA from SP Jain. And that is where my doors opened up to, the entire supply chain world. I started in Dubai after graduating from SP Jain, and there I worked for a couple of years in sourcing, in logistics and inventory management. And because I was handling logistics inward and outward, I got an opportunity into pharma about 10 years back in Aurobindo. So I joined Aurobindo in logistics management, export logistics management. And from there, the transition happened. I moved into new product life cycle, new product launches. I moved into product life cycle management, and then I moved into finally into complete planning process across 3-4 pharma companies that I worked with over the last 10 years. So that's been a journey. I mean, every step when I look back, it has been a connecting step to move forward, which in hindsight I can confidently say that it was the right step. But of course, like every professional, we are not sure of the next step. But I firmly believe that you need to take chances to make changes. I mean, you'll always get choices in life, and you need to take some chances to make changes. And that is what I firmly believe in. Whenever life has given me a choice, I have taken a chance to make a change. And that is how I have landed up over here. I mean, being in pharma, otherwise, for a mechanical engineer with marine engineering background is quite unheard of. But yeah, that's how, I've somehow made my, journey through. And that is what I will encourage all you students also, is that, don't be worried too much about, where this journey is going to take you. Invest yourselves in learning quickly at this point of time, because in today's day and age, everything, technology is going to change everything. The way we are planning, the way we are sourcing, with industry 4.0, with industry 5.0 coming through very quickly, the way we are doing, a lot of it is going to get automated. So don't feel worried that our jobs are going to go. I mean, that's how people used to think about 20 years back when computers came, when email came. How will we get work? But we have all evolved. So that is what I will recommend all you students, is continue your learning journey continuously. Never stop learning. Be ready for changes, because that is going to be the game changer going forward in my mind. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for your journey story. So now you have been working at Aurobindo Pharma for 10 years, right? And there, when you were leading the planning team to deliver critical drugs from across multiple manufacturing locations, what challenges have you faced and how have you dealt with it, sir?
So just to correct a little bit, Supreet, I was with Aurobindo about 10 years back. I was handling new products then. And then I moved into Mylan, Zydus, and now I'm with Sun. So if I understand your question, you wanted to understand what are the challenges that atypically we face in pharma supply chain, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no worries. So see, again, I mean, pharma, there is nothing, unique in terms of, the challenges. I mean, if I put myself next to a FMCG or a automotive company, etc., those are the same things that we have been looking at. I mean, in terms of how we are able to source, because sourcing from the right vendors, getting your raw materials imported into the country, how you're going to manage your operations, your production, and then how you're going to distribute your goods. So just to give you guys an example, a quick example of the big challenge that we face during pandemic and post pandemic also, what we're facing is in terms of logistics and distribution. I mean, in pharma, 60 to 70% of my goods, finished goods, travel, gets transported across the world in passenger air bellies. So now we all know 2 years back, all passenger aircraft came to a grinding halt. Nobody was traveling across the world, right? I mean, all international borders were sealed. India became into 30 different countries, moving from Maharashtra to, Madhya Pradesh was a challenge in itself, crossing the borders. So that was a huge challenge, that we faced, how we are going to move our finished goods, because we are not just about electronics or FMCG or apparel industry. We are in the industry of making critical life-saving drugs. So it was very important that, whatever critical life-saving drugs we were manufacturing, they don't keep sitting in my warehouse. They need to reach the patients across the globe. I mean, for example, Suns, we ship across 100 plus countries in the world. So how do you manage that? That was a huge challenge. So how we innovated in terms of, looking at freighters, how we collaborated with various government bodies, how we got special permissions to fly in aircraft and move our critical goods, how we were able to build some inventory in terms of, so that critical drug supply was continued and that we were not missing supplies, etc. So a typical challenge, I mean, a very unique, not a typical challenge, I would say, a very unique challenge because, of the logistics disruption. That was one function of supply chain that completely got disrupted. Yeah, Supreet.
Thank you, sir. Our next question would be, how easy or difficult it was or will be to have a vendor suppliers across borders, and what challenges do you face in terms of planning?
So like I mentioned, guys, I mean, pharma, we work in a very, regulated environment, because it's about, supplying critical life-saving drugs for patients, which are meant for patient consumption. So we have set of, we have qualified, approved vendors for each raw material, for even packaging materials, APIs, etc. So in that sense, we need to work with our vendors, not like at vendors, but as our collaborators, as our business partners, because that is the degree of, visibility or collaboration we need to have with them, so that, our supply continuity always remains. Because unlike, FMCG or automotive industry, where you have, tens of vendors to support you in terms of, alternate supply options. In pharma, many a times we have only one or two vendors for particular item, and we have to work with them. So that definitely has been a challenge for us, but it always also gives us opportunity to innovate in terms of how we manage and collaborate with our vendors and suppliers. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. So could you brief us on how demand planning works with pharma products?
So yeah, I mean, like atypical, I mean, you do your forecast. So and there are different models now to forecast. Like for example, you guys are more aware of, the different models of forecasting, time series, exponential, seasonality, etc. So those are the regular algorithms, etc. Now, but with all the innovations, and that is what I was talking about, with all AI, ML, with Industry 4.0, and that is where I believe a lot is going to change in terms of how we are able to forecast, because machine learning will help you move out all the, disruptions in your forecasted numbers. It will even out the curve, the demand curve, and it will help you, get a evened out demand, projection across, say, 6 to 12 months in future, looking at your past 5 years data, looking at macroeconomic factors, looking at climate, looking at, various things. Now smart algorithms look at all these things, geopolitical situations, etc., and it will give you a forecast, which you need to do a consensus with your demand team, of course, where you collaborate with your demand planning team. And the demand planning team collaborates in turns with this sales and marketing team. So once your forecasted number is ready, your forecast for the next 6 to 12 months horizon is fixed through consensus process. You do a DRP run, a distribution resource planning, where you understand what kind of demand it generates. So from your forecast, you generate demand, and those demand numbers then you use and give it to your supply planning guys, the operations guys, who look at those demand numbers. They look at how the requirement curve is looking over the next 6 to 12 months, how we can run MRP on it, how we can have visibility in terms of what material is required, look at overall rough cut capacities, and then do a commit process against that demand. So that's the entire nutshell. I was trying to explain to you, not just demand, the entire SNOP cycle, right from forecasting to consensus forecasting to demand planning through DRP to supply planning to MRP to final logistics and distribution. So that's the entire end-to-end SNOP cycle, a typical SNOP cycle, which a pharma supply chain also takes up.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. Now, we would like to hear from Mr. Ganpati Rangarajan. Sir, the forum is now open to you. Please guide us through the scope and opportunities of operations management.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Vikram. Yeah. Actually, I can touch all the areas, scope and industry expectations and skill sets and opportunity. I think you're audible now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. Scope of operation. Actually, what is meant by operations? The people now they are thinking that now 20-30 years back it is like a production. The name is called production. Now recently people are telling that operations. What is meant by operation? Operation means one input is converted to output. Some energy will be there. Some energy or some operation, some additional input should be there. So input means some of the product converted to another product. That is the operations. So input converting to output is called operations. It's a very simple. And for this, in the industry, there are different departments will be there. In the whole industry, now all the students, most of the students, mostly more than 60-70 students are there. In that, after coming out of MBA, mostly 50-60% may become the entrepreneur. And some MBA students may join as assistant manager, then they will be promoted. So most of the people they will choose for the industry sectors. Okay, so in that case, different department will be there. In the industry is running with all the department from finance, marketing, operation, quality, then sales, and everything will be there. In that, like that, we see the post-corp. I think you might have studied the principles of management. Post-corp, it's called P means planning. So everything should be come under planning while starting the business or while starting the operations. Then organizing. Everybody knows this. Again, I will explain that. Organizing. Then staffing. Staffing means it is a HR recruitment. Then D means designing. Okay. Then cooperating, reporting, then budgeting. Okay, this is called post-corp. So everybody knows that. So all operations, all systems will coming under this type of business. Another one is product design. See, for example, you are going to become an entrepreneur. So you are going to become you are going to select your product to launch this. This is, for example, is a water bottle. For example, you plan to manufacture a water bottle, PET bottle. PET, that is polyethylene terephthalate, PET bottle. Okay, so you are planning for that. So you are deciding the product to manufacture this. You are going to become an entrepreneur. Okay, so you are going to start a business with selling the water bottle in the market. Plastic. This is for example I am telling you. So you have designed the product. First you design the product. Okay, so nowadays here that creativity should come. Not like a conventional product. You have to be now the cutthroat competition. You have to why it should be a cylindrical shape or why it should be a square shape. That is, this is a container. It's container. Water bottle is a container. It contains water. That's all. So why it should be given a conventional method of a cylindrical, or why it should be a method of square shape. It may be a different shape. That creativity you should involve in this. See, this is a product design. So apart from this, process design. The second one is process design. So to make this, how the process is has to be designed. Number one, from raw material to output. This is the output. So raw material, where do you purchase it? How the store should be there? How the process will come from material to output stores, from material input stores to output stores. That is warehouse. So that process design you have to do this. So accordingly, layout also you have to design for that. Okay. Then PPC. PPC means production, planning, and control. This is what PPC. So based on the marketing sales demand, you have to give the production. So you have to give the production manager what is the planning, day-to-day planning, weekly planning, monthly planning, and yearly planning. That and all come under the PPC people work. Then QA and QC. QA, quality assurance and quality control. There is a difference between QA. Some company may have QA, some company may have QC. Quality assurance is different from quality control. Same product I will take. It's a water bottle. Quality control means, so today we are producing 1,000 numbers in one shift. 1,000 numbers we are producing this type of bottle. So quality control means whether all the process is taking place in the specified process parameters. For example, pressure, temperature. These are all quality control. So based on the quality control, how it is work. Quality assurance is different. Quality assurance means, for example, this PET bottle will work for 1 year. You may use for 2 years. Like that, you have to give the assurance. After that, we are not giving assurance. For example, this watch. This watch battery life is 1 year. After that, it may come 2 years also, but minimum 1 year. That is the assurance we are giving. That and all will come under quality assurance. One more input I would like to give this water bottle. In this water bottle, whoever we are using that, we are purchasing for 12 rupees, 15 rupees, 1 liter, 2 liters. In that one triangle will be there. In the triangle, they will mention 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 means you can reuse this n number of times. 1 means 1 or 2 times you have to use, otherwise you have to throw it. Okay, this is additional information I'm giving. Okay, so QA and QC over. Then material will coming under supply chain management also. Mr. Vikram has explained very well about the ISCM, supply chain management, integrated supply chain management. Okay, so material, we are procuring the material, raw material through purchase department. Then we are giving to operation department. Okay, then obviously maintenance. So without maintenance, we cannot run the operation. Okay, so maintenance is fully supported. This entire thing will come under the operation department. Okay, this is a brief about operation. Okay, we go for next slide. Okay, next is industrial expectations. So as a CEO, as a MD, what the company is expecting, as a senior management, what the company is expecting. So now it's a heavy competitive world. So not 30 years back, it is not like that. 60 years back, not like that. It's a heavy business competition. So if you want to go to an interview, minimum for one post, 10 people will come. So what they are expecting as an industry man, what we are expecting from you as a newcomer, you should be a creative one. See, everybody knows everybody. See, every year, most of the MBAs are coming out. Lot of engineers are coming out. So you should be different from them. So you should be creative. Okay. Then technology transfer or upgradation. So you should have some extra knowledge. You should have extra potential. You should have some extra. That's why we are expecting. So even though the company, what are the newcomers? Our first question is, if you appoint as an assistant manager or manager, what will be your main role? So apart from this is your assistant manager or marketing or production side, your manager here. what will be your, what do you know about this, and what will be the extra things? The extra things we want. That is our expectations. So not like regular scenario it is there. Now the cutthroat competition is there. Every company is expecting cost cutting. So if you want to take a business, for example, small example I'm telling. See nowadays DMart and Big Bazaar, Smart Bazaar, everybody, if you know, if you go there, the one row, in one row, simply they are keeping toothpaste. So in the earlier days, 30 years back, 60 years back, our father or grandfather, what they are using, only simple neem stick. So the neem stick, they are spending half an hour or 1 hour. They are walking there. And now we don't have time. So if you go in the DMart, the one row itself, lot of toothpaste, different brands are there. So in the cutthroat competition means why I am telling, even 5 rupees less, the people will go for that. First is price, second is quality. Quality is also very important. Nowadays, the people are realizing about the quality. First is pricing. For example, I have to tell some example. So Colgate toothpaste we can take, or Patanjali toothpaste we can take, or Himalaya toothpaste you can take. In all among this, 100 grams if you see, if any 3 rupees or 5 rupees cost is less, the automatically our mind go to pick up that low cost. So in the cutthroat competition, each and every CEO or MD will expect how to reduce the cost in the same product, because in the market, everybody is first demanding price, then production productivity, then supply. Okay, like that it is there. And the technology transfer and upgradation. So everybody should know nowadays the technology is old technology will not work out. So even though it's automobile industry, two-wheeler manufacturing, four-wheeler manufacturing. So nowadays all petrol engines converting to battery engines, how it is working. So technology transfer is very important for this. This is a very big subject we will talk about later. Please, next slide. Yeah, skill and equipment. So as I told, the extra means you should have some extra skill. You should equip yourself with extra. You should show your what is that your status on extra level. That's why you have to improve the skill level. And nowadays the extra means TPM, TQM, JIT. Even though you have come across in the MBA syllabus some extra, for example PDCA, that is a Deming cycle. PDCA means plan, design, change and act. Okay, and FMEA, failure mode effective analysis. Then QCC, quality control circle. Okay, these are all small examples I'm giving here. So the extra you have to learn. In interview, we are asking for after MBA, what are the things you are going to things? Any TPM, you know about the TPM, you know about TQM or any PDC cycle, because the operation management, everything should be there. And 5S, Kaizens, everything should be there. This extra things you should equip yourself. That is the thing I would like to. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights. Now, we would like to hear from Mr. Harsha, our dear alumni from Dayanasagar College of Engineering. Mr. Harsha, sir, can you please share your insights about the scope and opportunities in operations management?
Thank you, Supreet. Yes. So, first of all, I think most of the points Mr. Vikram or Mr. Ganesha has covered already. So, I'd like to take you all back. So, how was operations during the industrial era? So, first of all, suppose consider field operations, a manager or a person who is responsible for that fleet or that operations to take place, he used to go there, manually used to go visit there, make a note of what has been loaded, what has been unloaded, what is the inventory status and all these things. It used to be a manual work. Then came the informational era, wherein everything got shifted into IT, like business process outsourcing. There are specific operations in that or multiple operations in that. And then recession happened. Now everything has been shifted into a digitalized era now, which we are. So everything, as Mr. Vikram and Mr. Ganesh rightly said, it's been converted into automation. So what you as students should concentrate on is not only the academics, but what is your USP. So every batch comes out with an MBA degree, but what is your USP for that company? See, our operations is different with respect to different company. I've been in a fintech industry, now I'm in a edutech industry. So fintech, it's a completely different processes there. And for edutech, completely different processes there. But then operations as a whole is nothing but supporting your organization in day-to-day activities for a smooth operation, for a smooth running of business. So two things. Basically, what happens here is maximize the productivity, minimize the cost. That is your whole principle in operations, right? So for that, there are many tools right now. So automation, so it's run is because of the tools like SQL, Python, Tableau, Six Sigma. So there are many tools. So you have to get acquainted with these tools. As in when you are learning your curriculum, at least get acquainted or have a knowledge on these tools starting right now. And when you decide what is best for you, do a research on the industry which you want to do first, then about the company which you want to join, and then about the roles or the job description which the company prefers, or I mean, for which the opening is done. So then only you'll be in a position where you'll love that job which you are doing, right?
Thank you, sir, for your insights. Sir, and our students have a few questions to ask to you.
Definitely,
So,
please.
what is your experience in being junior analyst operations, team lead operations, and now the assistant manager?
So basically, I tell you, I was a junior analyst in a fintech company known as Razor. Here, what happens is all the work should be done by the executives. So the business process, I mean, operations process was a bit different. So right from the merchant onboarding to the successful completion of their KYCs, profile activation, bank linking to the payment portals, and making them ready to integrate the product to their website for their end users was the operations there. So here, as my journey as a junior analyst there, my key responsibility was to onboard the merchants. I mean, the pre-qualified merchants who were there, doing their KYC checks and giving a step, go ahead to the next team, wherein saying that, boss, I've done these checks for this merchant, he is ready to be onboarded. And then the business operations used to take care from there for the next process. So now what happens when you are getting promoted to the next level is, so here your work will get reduced, but then responsibilities will increase. You'll be given a team. You have to manage the team. That is where your managerial roles will come place. Okay, so what you have to see is you have to look forward to a team who performs well. So that is the key aspect there. Leadership role comes there. Your what do you call decentralization of work comes there, and distribution, workloads, everything you have to manage. Apart from this, what happens here is you are on the other part of the wherein you are ready to onboard the merchants and all those things. In the next level, what it comes is that in being a manager, you have to track the expenses. What is the cost? As Mr. Ganpati sir rightly said, now every company is looking forward to cost cutting, be it in any sector, any industry. So they are looking for cost cutting. And how do you do that? So automation, focus on that. So here, what you have to be is you have to be innovative. Right from the scratch, you have to be innovative. You have to come up with new ideas. Or else, how will you go up the organization? So climbing the corporate ladder is not at all easy, right? So what you have to be, what you have to get to know is you have to be strong in your first basic principles. Then if you're strong with the usage of tools and your innovation techniques and leadership or managerial abilities, you can move up the corporate ladder. So that is what I have done, and this is the process through which I got.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. Sir, another question is to you. According to you, what is the future in operations with respect to career growth?
See, one thing I'll tell you, to be very frank, operations only. The company might lay off their employees within the organization at the executive level, but the operations is backbone of the company. See, I'm in a edutech industry right now known as Byju's. Byju's, the main product is their learning app. So what happens here is operations, as a part of operations, you have to coordinate with multiple teams, be it sales, be it finance, be it warehousing, be it logistics, everything we have to coordinate, everything we have to track expenses, and everything we have to take care such that the business runs smoothly on a day-to-day basis. So you can call it as a support or a, what do you call it? It's basically a support, but then in operations, there are few loopholes as well. If you are not being innovative, you are dead here. If you are not strong enough in your concepts or your daily duties, you can be easily replaced. That is there for sure. Even what the work which we are doing, it can be automated and it can be given to a software can do it basically. But then what happens here is you have to be strong in monitoring. You have to be strong in the auditing concepts so that your life in a corporate world will be very peaceful.
Thank you, sir. Sir, and being a BCom graduate as myself, what all skills are required to ace the operations stream, and what all certifications that you suggest that are required to do in operations management?
The first and foremost thing that I would like to suggest is the Six Sigma, which is on the top these days with respect to quality analysis or any beat any industry, it always includes Six Sigma. So the first thing. Second thing is your programming softwares like Python, SQL, and all those things. See, these softwares are ideally required to convert what is the demand into a physical or mathematical variable. Then only you can start analyzing those. And then based on that, as Mr. Vikram rightly said, you have learned all this forecasting analysis and all those things, so that where you can give insights to a company saying that so and so is going to happen in the next quarter or next year, next financial, and we have to be ready for that. Or else vice versa. So and so is the demand is decreasing, what we need to be prepared. So all these can be only done with usage of tools. Tools like, as I said, Tableau, SQL, Python, Six Sigma. So these are some of the primary courses or the tools which will be helpful. Apart from that, you have so many. So now it's an area of digitalization. So there are, if you go to Google and type like add-ons for your Google, there are so many tools like Postman. For your marketing, you have n number of tools. So operations don't think that it's specified to only one limited area. It takes a coordination from sales, your sales department, your finance department, everything.
Thank you, sir. So, having a dual specialization option in our MBA course, which combination of specialization would better match with supply chain and operations in terms of job opportunities and growth?
See, basically, I did my specialization in operations and marketing. There is no combination as such. You can deep dive into any other subject which you because see, operations as a core subject, you are studying operations. I do agree, but then marketing is there, finance is there. Nowadays, finance is also getting converted into ERPs, and there are many planning softwares for finance as well, and for marketing also. You have digital marketing tools, all these tools. So there is no such limited scope. So you can go to, you can take any other operation, specialization with along with operations, and you can excel in that. You don't have to worry about that.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. Now, one second. Sir. Thank you, sir, for your useful insights for our students. Now, I have a question to Mr. Vikram Srivatsava, sir. So, what skills and certifications are required according to you for an operations graduate?
Yeah. So, like Harsh was mentioning, I mean, business certifications, I would tell you that if you have done your master's in operations supply chain management, after that, there is only one thing that you need to be getting certified in, keeping your eyes and ears open. I mean, I would put it that simply. I mean, you have tons of other things like Harsha also mentioned about Six Sigma, there's PMP, there is, advanced analytics tools, big data, these are the upcoming things about Industry 4.0, AI, ML learning, because that's the way you'll keep yourself ahead of the learning curve. But what is most important for us is, having a lot of, understanding of the business, because in supply chain and operations, you're basically the information cockpit. You are the guys who are getting all the information from upstream and downstream value chain, from your sales and marketing, from your from your distribution team, from your vendors, from your warehouse team, etc., etc. So all that information comes in, and we have to absorb that information and give the right triggers to the right people. I mean, so in my mind, that is the key to being a successful supply chain operations manager. But yes, I mean, if I have to name a few courses, like I mentioned, those are the few things that are coming up now in terms of advanced technologies, etc. Because like I said, the way we are doing supply chain planning, supply chain management today, in the next 3 to 5 years, it is going to get completely transformed. You know, because of how technology is going to come and help us in making quicker decisions, smarter decisions, and better decisions. I mean, it's not going to come and replace us, but definitely we also need to evolve from the atypical Excel spreadsheets. Because in planning, if you look at, now with supply chain management, you have IBP, you have Connexus, you have so many planning tools. You have smart ways of, forecasting, you have smart ways of doing your distribution and logistics management. You have blockchain to look at how you're working very closely with your vendors and your distributors and your logistic service providers. So all this is, everything is technology enabled. So we need to be, going beyond just the theory of, supply chain management, and look at the practicality of all these things. But like I said, first and foremost, we need to, be the information cockpit.
Thank you, sir. Sir, and one more question for you. What is your opinion to attempt for PMI certification in project management?
No, it's definitely good, but I would say that, you know, PMP certification you mentioned, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
PMI.
So see, if you want to get into complete project management only, it is definitely a plus plus. But like I said, in supply chain management, in pure operations management, you don't really need a PMP certification. But yeah, I mean, that's a definite plus plus. Like Harsha was also mentioning about Six Sigma, etc. Those are definite plus plus. I mean, if you are a green belt or a black belt or whatever, in terms of Six Sigma, etc., it helps. But I'll give you a simple example of pharma. Pharma, nobody talks about Six Sigma. We don't believe in Six Sigma. For us, every pill that we make, in the millions of pills that we make, has to have the same efficacy and efficiency. Because every single pill is getting consumed by a patient for their well-keeping. So we don't believe in having 3.44 defects every million outputs that you have. Say a simple Six Sigma rule. So I mean, it depends from industry to industry. Six Sigma is very good for automobiles. I know of, where that kind of defect rate is fine. In electronics, in semiconductor industries and all, very good. But again, it depends from industry to industry, and there are a lot of things. But I would suggest that before getting into a lot of things, in terms of further certifications, I would say that use what you have learned now, put to practice that, get yourselves into the shop floor, so to say, get into office spaces, understand what you're liking in terms of supply chain, in terms of operations, in terms of project management, and then take a step towards what is the next thing you want to learn, and further enhance your understanding on, before right away jumping into something.
Thank you, sir. Sir, and getting an operation internship is a little difficult nowadays. So, could you please suggest where we can seek for an operations internship for students, MBA graduates?
No, it's not difficult. I mean, your corporate cell should reach out to industry companies. I mean, I'll give you an example of Sun. Sun takes interns for operations every summer. So we take about 6 to 8 candidates every summer. We go to specific 2-3 colleges, but there are different companies. I mean, so your corporate cell can reach out to to companies in and around your college, or even if it is somewhere a little far, because it will be during your summer break, etc. And that is the way it works. I mean, for at least for Sun, that is the way we look at. We get candidates every summer.
So, Preet and Mr. Vikram, if I can take this question with your permission. So let me add on to the points which Mr. Vikram put forward. So there are multiple apps. So I see where this question is coming from. I've been in that position as well. All right. So there are different apps in the Play Store saying, which says Internshala is there, where you can filter out what internships do you want with respect to what field, and you can see what are the opportunities there. And there are, you guys have been exposed to LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn is an excellent networking platform also. So you can go there, start connecting with people, go asking about the questions, and who knows, you might find opportunities there also with respect to internships or the projects or which you want to do in your coming curriculum.
Yeah,
Thank
Harsha,
you,
I think
sir.
you were closer to what they were asking for. I think you rightly put it across also. Thank you. Yeah, that's the. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, adding on to what Harsha was saying, yeah, definitely. Reach out to industry leaders, reach out to different HR and HR cells of different companies. So your corporate communications cell, your corporate cell can also reach out to bigger companies directly. And you guys, in your own capacities, like Harsha mentioned, can reach out to industry leaders, etc., and understand what is the need, etc., and how internships, summer internships, etc., can be given. But don't be too worried about anything. What I would say is just put yourself out there, even if you're not getting internship. I mean, look at what is the new trends in terms of operations, supply chain management of different companies. Look at your target industries where you want to focus yourself in terms of whether it is pharma, whether it is automotive, whether it's IT, whether it is FMCG, etc., and try to understand what kind of skill sets they are looking at, and work towards that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for your useful insights today for giving our students. Now we have come to the end of the session.
Supreet,
Yes, sir.
there is a question in the chat box.
Yes, sir. I will read it out, sir. So we have a question for the industry personnel from our audience. One of them have asked, being a mechanical engineer with operations specialization in MBA, do I have an edge over others? And what are the technical skills should we have before entering into operations field? And what are the expectations of the industry from a fresher?
Can I take this with everyone's permission?
Yes,
See,
yes,
I
sir.
can
Yes, sir.
relate to 100% to this question because I'm a mechanical engineer who has done operation specialization in MBA. So the first question it says here, do I have an edge over others? When it comes to automobile industry or any other research industry where you are working in, if you are planning to go to those industries, definitely your scientific knowledge of mechanical engineering will come into use. Okay. Then along with that, if you have this managerial aspects at your disposal, then I think you have an edge there. So what matters the most is pick the industry which is right for you, which has this both things. So going into IT industry, being a mechanical engineer is of no use. So you have to be choosy in your industry. So that is what creates the edge there. So coming to the second question here, and what are the technical skills should we have before entering into operations field? Technical skills is nothing but your tools. So try you will be having your internships and projects in your curriculum. So try out some tools for try out analysis using the same. I think you will be using SPSS as a tool for analysis in your projects also. So try out different uh, aspects of what do you call analysis there. And mainly, see, life is a learning curve. It's not like you do MBA and if you do one course, it ends there. So every day in your work also, you have to keep learning something. You have to be innovative in what you learn. You have to be practical about putting those learned aspects into a operational model. So that is what gives you a edge as well as I mean, USP, your unique selling proposition with it. So apart from technical skills, uh, imply just innovative techniques also. So that will be of help. And what are the industry expectations of industry from a fresher? See, freshers, I'll tell you, industry doesn't expect much. To be very frank, you will be trained for the work which you do. It's not like you come out of an MBA and you directly work with some concepts or you directly get involved into the concepts which you have learned in your MBA. So you'll be trained for the job which you do. And in that training, if you are like, see, my very own example, I'll give, there are many tools for intercommunication. So earlier it used to happen in WhatsApp or over the email, which used to take so much of time. So there are tools like Freshdesk, Freshworks or something, any tool which you will be able to suggest the company and the company makes a profit out of it, or it will be able to reduce the time of the employees, or it will be more productive. So that company also incorporates. So expectations of a fresher is nothing much. You have to be ready to adapt to the company's culture and company's work process. That's it. I think I have answered the question.
And one more thing I would like to add this question is fresher, as a fresher, you can select the company, no issue. But once you joined, after that, don't rethink. Before joining, you have to think twice, thrice. Why I'm because telling in our company is a chemical unit. Most of nobody is from chemical engineering. All are from mechanical engineering only. But once they joined, they enrich their knowledge, they increase their knowledge, they develop their knowledge on chemical. So almost all senior managers are there. They are from mechanical engineering, but they run the chemical industry. So before entering into that industry, twice, thrice you think. After that, don't resign immediately. That is my things.
So, Prith, we can move on to the next questions if there are any.
Yes, sir. One more question here. Ismail. Good evening, sir. Basically, I have done my bachelor's in mathematics and physics. I have heard that most of the recruiter prefer engineers for operation jobs. What is your view on this?
There is no preference for recruiters. See, as I said you before, if you are fit for that role, what do the see? Let me take you to the practical aspect of it. Me, suppose I'm a recruiter. I do not completely know about the syllabus that you are studying right. So what do I expect? I expect you to be very firm on the basic concepts which you have studied. First thing. Second thing, I need to have an idea whether you have an idea about the industry which we are taking you into. And third thing, they'll give you a practical situation. So this practical situation might be to see how you react to the changes, or how you innovate yourself, or how you plan for things, or different outcomes will be there. So based on that only you'll be hired. It's not about what course you have studied. It's not about what you have done previously. So it's about what you know and how you can adapt to it. You know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your useful insights. Now we have come to the end of the session. I would like to request Ms. Soundarya to give us a vote of thanks.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for answering all the questions patiently. It gives me immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks. I take the opportunity to thank all three resource persons, Mr. Vikram Srivatsava, Mr. Ganapathy Rangarajan, and Mr. Harsha, for spending their valuable time with us and giving us wonderful insights in the career guidance series. Thank you, sir. We would like to thank our principal, Dr. CPS Prakash sir, and our HOD, Dr. KG Hemilata ma'am, for their constant support. We would like to thank our faculty coordinator, Dr. Karpagavalli ma'am, for her continuous guidance and support throughout this event. Last but not the least, we would like to thank our faculty members who were very supportive, and all the student participants who have been a wonderful audience. And we hope they have got some insights by now related to operations field. Once again, thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if I may add one more point before we finish this, students who are all there in this meeting, please, you
Yes.
have excellent faculties at your disposal. From my experience, I'm telling you this. So they are the right mentors to your career path or to your entrepreneurship path. I'll tell you this. Please listen to their words, listen to their mentorship, and I'm 100% sure you'll be successful in every aspect of your life.
Yeah. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you very much, Vikram Srivatsava. Wonderful insights from you. Thank you very much, Ganesh Rangarajan and Harsha. We got a different field of people, services industry, and then pharmaceuticals, and then manufacturing. So we like to have many more sessions, interactive session like this in future also. I'll take your support for our syllabus correction in future.
Sure.
Thank you very much for you coming forward
Bye,
to
everyone.
give your insights. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.